Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. We're glad you're here. Subscribe to this channel and give this video a like. We appreciate it.
Podcast below in the description. Subscribe to that as well.
We're sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka,
#1 vodka in America.
crafted to be savored responsibly.
Like, they, to me, feel closer to 5-7 team that I've watched all season than to be in a 7-5, 8-4 team. Like, they feel like Seattle, who's I've watched Seattle all season. They have been shitty. And listen, we're talking about Pete getting fired, right? Pete getting forced into retirement. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Kyle. I'm not trying to overreact to the one game. I'm just saying, like, this team has been, for the most part, in a lot of these tight games, like they kicked some ass the last couple games. But as we've said, like, it's not going to be that easy just to have these games where Jimmy Garoppolo has to throw fucking 20 times a game. That's not normal. And they get in these positions. One, Kyle's special teams coach, I don't want to spend too much time talking about special teams because I don't care. But do you know the sad reality is? Neither does Kyle. Clearly. It does not care at all. It does not give a shit about special teams because their special teams is an abomination, an absolute embarrassment to the National Football League. It is that terrible. And everything that happens, it's like, well, Middlekauff, Robbie Gould, shot. Well, okay. So we acknowledge the special teams coach has nothing to do with the kicker or the punter. Well, his players that return the ball constantly fumble. Ayuk does stupid shit nonstop. They can't fucking tackle any. They do nothing well, not even remotely well. Back-to-back weeks. Last week it was 100 yards. This week it was like 80 yards. I mean, you're just giving up free touchdowns in a game that you lost by 7 points. I mean, that's a free on the first series of the game. You get a 3-and-out, and the dude they run a fake punt that was. I would say that's about as easy of a fake punt touchdown going the full length of the field as you're ever going to see, right?
I've never seen that one go 73 yards. The direct snap to the up man. I thought the two special teams plays, that one and for Travis Benjamin to fumble with one, you fumble with two hands on the football and somebody just rips it out going into a pile. But if you've got a situation like that, was the coaching point, hey, Travis, here's what we can't have happen. We just can't have you fumble this kickoff return coming out for the second half. We need you to hold on to the football at all other costs. Did they say that to him? Did they say it and he forgot it? Or did nobody say it to him? That play to me was that and the fake. Those two were beyond. I mean, in a game like this, what's acceptable? Especially when you're playing a 3-8 team. Like, you've got to be ready on their first punt for them to do something desperate because they got nothing to lose.
And listen, I'm not saying I want Kyle as my head coach / offensive coordinator, but ultimately the special teams, that does fall under his umbrella. He's the head coach. And I get Hightower's his guy. They've known him forever. And I'm not trying to make this personal, but it's like their special teams are hideous. I mean, they are really, really bad. And last week, it could have cost them the game. They got lucky, right? Like, a big difference is Cousins just, even if Russell's a little off, Russell just has more in the bag than Cousins, right? Like, you saw that today. Let's say Russell, we've been watching him for a decade. That's 75% of the greatness of we've seen or something, right? That we saw today, would you say?
Russell's greatness?
Yeah, I'm just saying, if Russell's greatness is 100%, what do you think you witnessed today?
No, not 75.
Yeah, I think you're underselling him. He was throwing some great deep balls today.
He's
older. He doesn't run as fast as he did for the last couple years. But I hear what you're saying. Okay, let's say 60%, whatever. Like, special teams cost them the game, missing extra points, right? Because even if they scored, it was like, do they go for two? Well, that extra point, it's like they're paying this guy a lot of money. Like, this is on them. Like Dabo said, every fucking player on that field and every guy you sign is under your umbrella. So my angst of the coaching staff today is more like personnel stuff. It's more the special team stuff. Like that, Kyle just does nothing. We know he's not going to cut anybody. We know he's not going to fire anybody. So it's like nothing just changes. But, what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over. So it's like, well, nothing. Why would anything change? They're just going to play in these crazy games and maybe be 8-9, maybe be 9-8. I don't know. But it's a sloppy operation. If they just can't run it down someone's throat, which I've been saying for a while, is not. I love that football. So do you. Like, so does most old school people. It's just not that realistic every single game, right? And you saw today, Seattle was ready.
All this stuff we're talking about, I believe this, and I've said this for months. The primary reason the 49ers are what they are is that their quarterback is a roller coaster. He just is. And in moments when you need to throw, they're afraid to throw. Their 2-minute offense, no. The 30-second offense is a kneel play, and let's get to the locker room. That's the number one reason. So because that's their problem, because their quarterback is unpredictable, they can't commit 10 penalties. They can't commit 2 roughings on one drive. They can't commit another roughing on a third down play. They can't have a block in the back on a big down, although it didn't kill them on the Trent Sherfield.
They have a lot of false start. They have a lot of false starts on offense.
How many illegal snaps do we have? 2 or 3 this year already. Actually, that one dodged a bullet. They got the Mitchell, by the way, should have been a fumble. I don't know how that play got overturned. And I can't believe he came back into the game, but I thought his knee was definitely not down and it should have been a fumble. But that's different.
It was a knockout, but he came too quick.
Oh, yeah, okay. But because of, let's start at the top of the pyramid. Because of Jimmy, they got to be good on special teams. They can't have 10 penalties on the road, let alone at all. The 2 roughing penalties, and I get it, like some of these roughing penalties are bullshit, but they are what they are. This is the deal. You jump on the quarterback and ride him to the ground after the ball's out. It's just going to be a penalty, period. You cannot leave. The Arden Key one was inexplicable. Leaping into Russell Wilson's helmet with his own helmet after the ball was gone. Like, dude, what are you doing?
But all this stuff is a reflection of like,
oh yeah,
we talk about like the New England Patriots, the good teams, like they're just more buttoned down operation. Why is again, Kyle can dial up plays. Hell, even if Jimmy's just decent, he can move the ball down, call some sweet plays, get Kittle open. Nobody in maybe I didn't watch Walsh in his prime. Nobody gets the fullback open down 15 yards down the field like Kyle Shanahan. But like again, he's not Joe Brady here, right? Or what Joe Brady was until he got fired today.
What is that? I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. But he's not just the offensive coordinator. Like all this shit is reflective of him. It's why, it's like I just never see him. It doesn't even matter what I see. It's just not happening. And a lot of stuff goes, and I don't want him to not be the offensive coordinator, but it does feel like he's got to get either the right coaches in there that can handle it. And again, I go more the defensive shit. I can live a little bit with
penalties of aggression.
Yeah, and it was kind of ticky-tack. I mean, Arden Key's a backup. It sucks. But I didn't think most of their defensive penalties were like fucking fireable offenses. The special team shit, that is his guy, and it's killing him. It cost them the game. He gave up a 7-point, fucking 80-yard fake punt to the up man, untouched. They lose the game by 7. And you can say, well, that's the first touchdown of the game. Whatever, but it's like they lost by 7, and that happens. I watched football all day, really the last 2 days, really the last 3 days, because if you start with the Oregon and Utah, no fake special teams plays that I see go 80 for a touchdown. Not one. This guy's terrible. He's one of the worst coaches in the league. Like, and it's like, Middlekauff, you're just that's what every front office guy with the 49ers is saying. They're just not allowed to say it out loud. That's what some of the that's what D'Amico and some of his staff got to be thinking. The guy's killing them. This guy's killing them. I mean, it's one thing to just have a muff punter here. We're human,
the fumble
right?
tied the game, basically. I mean, because the fumble led to the interception came after the fumble, which then led to the safety. The Gerald Everett interception came after the Travis Benjamin fumble, which then was the safety at the 1-yard line.
And then the Niners never.
So it's basically 9 points that your special teams put you in either directly or indirectly led to, plus the missed extra point, which is not. I mean, that's not the special teams coach's fault, but there's 10 points.
But I hear a lot of people saying that, and listen, I'm with you.
Saying what?
Robbie. But it's like, that's his unit, right? I mean, that's his guy.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, I don't even know how to attribute that to a coach, especially if the guy misses for the first time.
Yeah, Robbie's just a poor signing, and they went all in on it. He's just not a trustworthy player right now. I think we all agree there. But it's like you said, their special teams unit is costing them a lot of points. It's one thing like 5 yards, which they do not cover very well. I mean, every time today, it's not like the guy was getting tackled at the 20. The guy was making it to the 35, 40-yard line every play. So they don't cover anybody, and they're giving up points, right? It's like, well, the defense is naturally going to give up points. It's 2021 in the NFL. When your special teams is giving up the last 2 games, like you said, basically 9 points today, 7 points yesterday, it's hard to overcome, man. They got lucky last week because the Minnesota clearly is not the most buttoned-down operation, as we saw today, losing to Big DC in Detroit. But God, what to me, Hightower is on Kyle though. That's on Kyle. And I think sometimes we can be too harsh on assistant coaches. Sometimes we don't know offensive or defensively scheme. Like they might be coaching the player the right way. The player might just be an idiot or whatever. But this one's overboard by now. Like it's pretty crazy watching it. It's pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
And again, the guy this is not, the guy ain't making $80,000. I mean, there's a chance he makes $1 million. That's the going rate. It's what these assistants now make in the league, coordinate. High pressure job, you either produce or you get fired, And I mean, I get it's his friend, but holy shit. I mean, it's just, when the Niners were really good under Jim Harbaugh, to sustain being good, you have to be decent at all three units. Clearly, the Niners can be decent at offense, and they can be decent at defense. Their special teams is, statistically, I have no clue where they rank, but if they're not dead last, I don't know who is.
In what?
Just as a unit.
Yeah,
I mean, if I had to pick their unit, they
kick
last.
Return defense, opponent kick return yards, they are 20. No, they are 2. Patriots are worst. 32, 31, 30, 29, 28. Steelers, Colts, Packers, Patriots. That's a weird group to have worse than you.
Special team stats are weird. I just know they're giving up points.
Opponent punt return yards, they're third best. Anyway. I was watching, who was it the other day? I think it was Kalen DeBoer. I was watching somebody's introductory press conference. It wasn't Lincoln Riley. It might have been Kalen DeBoer, and he mentioned special teams.
Cristobal's at Miami?
It wasn't Cristobal's, who at last check is still. I just saw a tweet from 5 minutes ago of a kid tweeting out a photo with him and Cristobal in the living room with putting up the O. So maybe he hasn't docu-signed that thing yet. It hasn't gotten to the I don't know.
Is that how they
hasn't gotten to the Jeep Grand Cherokee?
We used to do faxes. I would imagine they just do DocuSign now.
But I mean, Mario's not the doc. I mean, his contract. Like, what is going on? Where these kids? Maybe did the kid tweet this photo from this morning? I mean, the kid just tweeted 14 minutes ago. That means it was after 5 p.m. on Sunday. A photo of him and Mario Cristobal in the living room from today.
The highlight of the day is the Alamo Bowl press conference with an interim coach, Bob Stoops, as they've hired a new coach, and Mario, who wasn't even potentially their coach anymore. That's hard to beat.
Looking forward to the opportunity to coach him in the Alamo Bowl. Was he going to stay for the Alamo Bowl?
I'm a sucker for the Alamo Bowl. It's always one of my favorites.
Alamo Bowl is a good game, and that's actually kind of a sweet game. Are you kidding me?
Oklahoma, Oregon. I just don't know if I can watch that quarterback anymore. I've had enough.
Well, maybe he doesn't play. I mean, because to me, bowl games are their first game of 2022, not your last game of 2021.
Oh, you tell me he's not playing? I'm in.
Ty Thompson, baby. But anyway, so Kalen, I think it was Kalen DeBoer, does his press conference, and he mentions all three phases in special teams. And it occurred to me that most coaches don't mention special teams in their introductory press conferences. Now, they don't necessarily say anything but cliches in the introductory press conferences, so whatever. But I do remember talking to one coach this year before one of his games, and he's a defensive coach, not an offensive coach. And I tend to think that defensive coaches probably talk about special teams more than offensive coaches do. But he went on for 20 minutes about special teams. Right now, go to liquidiv.com. Use the promo code HAM for 25% off everything. Get your hydration on.
Also, for our small business owners, are you guys hiring right now? I know a lot of people are. Indeed.com/ham. $75 off your first job post.
And the studies they've done about special teams and starting field position and all of that. And I always think about when we talk about special teams, the year that the Niners drafted Mitch Wishnowsky, that Kyle Shanahan said, like funny, joking, but said it like he hopes he never has to watch special teams punter film again. I don't know if he was talking just about punter film or just special teams film in general, but he made it clear like special teams bores him. Punting bores him. And that's just not how, like, Belichick doesn't think like that, right? Saban wouldn't dare think like that. Now, again, he might have just been talking about, I don't want to watch punter tape, college punter tape, which I would understand. That's different than just prepping for a special teams game, but maybe it's an insight into how he thinks about special teams.
Well, I'll give you an example. I've been around Coach Reed before practice and going out to practice. Andy's not big into special teams. Do you know what he did when he got to Kansas City? He bought David Tobe, who's his special teams coach, who a lot of people thought was going to, like, I know Cam Worrell, who played for him in Chicago. They think this guy was like John Harbaugh. right? Like he should have got his shot to be a head coach. He is of the Harbaugh mold. But for whatever reason, I think the league's become so offensive, it's been hard for that guy to get the job. So Andy's just had arguably the best special teams coach run his operation. So it's like he doesn't have to fuck with it, but he also pays a guy $2 million. Just that's his baby. Kyle just like hired his friend, which is fine, but clearly this guy's over his head, like getting smoked. And I gotta listen. Kyle had an abysmal play call on that 4th and 1 where they got lucky. Where he took 44 and 85 off the field in a play where he was gonna run it. Did you see, like, they had the far view, the cameras coming in from Seattle sideline, and I see Kittle and Juszczyk running off. I'm like, Kyle, what are we doing here? You need those guys in to just fucking block people because it's clear he was going to run the ball. And then he runs, clearly they had told Jimmy, do the quarterback, do the RPO, but keep it, it'll be there, which, whatever. It wasn't even close. And they got bailed out because what? It was a delay a game? Is that what happened?
No, that was the bad snap.
Which I don't even, what does that even mean?
Well, he snapped the ball, it like slipped, then he grabbed it and snapped it. It was
so they ended up getting a 4th and 6 and got to punt it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was, you agree. Listen, we could nitpick Walsh, Parcells, Belichick, any individual call, but at that moment, that was pretty nuts, that play call.
I hated the
crazy.
But, again, to me, the stuff that we criticize with Kyle, his play calling usually is not. His play calling usually is nailed.
They were kind of
it was a bad call, but that didn't cost him the game, right? Because they probably end up punting anyway, even if that play works, because there's a penalty.
Yeah, well, what if they don't? I mean, well, no. I'm saying, what if the Mac doesn't fuck it up and Seattle gets it right there and scores?
Well, yeah, it's bad. But I'm just saying the play, there was a bad snap. They got whatever would have happened. It didn't matter if they had hit Brandon Ayuk for an 80-yard bomb, which never would have happened. But no matter what happened there, I'm just saying of all the things, I think there's a lot of stuff that's fair to criticize Kyle. That play call sucked, but by and large, that's not his play calls are not his problem.
But I do think it's okay, and I said this earlier in the season, and he'd had a great month because he was able to dictate the terms. Sometimes when he can't dictate the terms, and we'll get into the quarterback, and that is a problem. When you have a quarterback who today played like a bottom 10 guy in the league, it's hard to overcome that. It's hard to be a play caller for it. But Kyle could just have a bad game. Like everything that happens on the field is on him. Like to me, it just reflects he had a poor game, and in some big moments, some shitty play calls. Like that was bad. He also makes some good play calls because he's a good play caller. But he can have a bad game. And I thought he just had a pretty bad game.
Yeah, I thought his bad game was his team's penalties and his special teams, not his offense.
Yeah, I mean, that offensive play call, in that spot.
I agree, it's terrible, but whatever. That's okay. His team still was in position to win the football game without 9 other things that they did wrong. I'm just, I'm not going to one play call Kyle. It's just, one play call Kyle?
Yeah, he kind of freaked out late in the 4th quarter, guy, in a big spot. It's like, Jesus, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Sometimes you do some shit at work. Sometimes it doesn't. Whatever. That's not why they lost the football game, that one play call. Yeah, it was bad, but sometimes you make bad play calls. It was terrible. I hated everything about it.
I just don't know who in the headset is like, hey, Kyle, you really want Kittle and Juszczyk coming off on this play? Kyle, we sure? Yeah, Kyle, Elijah Mitchell's not in this play either. What the fuck are we doing? Is there nobody? And this is sometimes wonder. I get it, Andy, Bill. They've been doing this for 40 fucking years. They got a ton of pelts on the wall. Kyle is in the same situation. There ain't a soul Kyle, I don't think this is a good idea. He can just do whatever he wants. I think no one questions him. Nobody. And I just don't know if that's always the healthiest spot in some of these huge. Today was massive, guy. Today was a big fucking game.
I understand, but he does
piss down their leg.
He does 100 things that are unconventional offensively. Jeff Wilson playing tight end and Brandon Ayuk with his hand in the dirt. That one was terrible. I'm not denying it. I'm just saying that's not why they lost the football game.
A massive spot, though, with the game on the line.
Yeah, and as it turned out, it didn't. Even if he had called the greatest play on earth, it wouldn't have mattered because they got a penalty and would have punted the football. So it didn't cost him the football game. That's my point. It didn't.
To me, it reflected today. That play was a microcosm.
I disagree because I think they hit a lot of plays that they had to hit in critical spots. Kittle all over the place, getting killed involved. I thought, to me, the bigger issue was, and I know we heard the explanation. but there's really no way to use Trey Lance. There's no way to use Trey Lance when you're on the goal line late and you cannot run the football. When you're under 3 yards of carry, your quarterback is obviously not a running threat, and he's not that trustworthy as a thrower. There's, for one of the most creative coaches in the league, there's no way to use Trey Lance. That's
Didn't we
the
just
part
talk
to me
about this? Didn't we just
Yeah,
talk about this a
I
couple
know.
days ago?
I know, but to me, there is a difference between packages and like having him run the offense for series. And is there no way to use a creative, useful, talented, unique player?
Sure doesn't feel like he's into that right now. And where I'm not going to
Like
get
that to
mad
me is
at
the
it,
bigger issue.
I would
if we're
agree,
gonna-
but he just told us. Like, he's just
I know.
over it. He's just over that situation, which is also reflective of, like, Kyle, I understand. I'm with you. Like, not understanding the defenses when you put him in there. Just, you can't have 2 plays for him. Just in, hey, if we ever get into a 2nd and 5 situation, if we ever get into a 3rd and 1 situation, we got 2 plays for you, Trey. Which he scrapped it. He's waved the white flag on Trey Lance. Not even debatable at this point, right? After today.
No, he doesn't. All those plays he drew up on the plane back from Justin Fields' pro day, I don't know where they are, but you could use a couple of them. Everyone else,
Would Andy Reid, if he had Trey Lance, even if he was redshirting, but he had the ability to run like this, would he use him?
I mean, he had Pat Mahomes and didn't really use him, right? And
Different
Patrick's
though, because he was a passing quarterback. I'm talking about in a zone read situation.
Maybe the difference is that Alex was a more athletic player than Jimmy, but to me, it's like in a given week where you have nothing from your run game. Nothing. Did Jeff Wilson's run get called back? Was there a penalty on Jeff Wilson's big play? Because I'm not seeing it in the box score. Okay.
Yeah, it was holding on our guy, which, again, I hear all these great things. I know Larry Fitzgerald loves him, and I bet he's a great guy. Like, you'd want to have dinner with him. But Trent Sherfield had some terrible penalties today. Holy moly. He held on that one, or he blocked in the back on twice. Or he held on that one, blocked in the back, or maybe they were both blocking the backs. Because he was the outside receiver.
The block in the back was bad. You know who blocks well is Juwan Jennings.
We see that guy's a monster.
He can block. But
yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing for Kyle Shanahan, he's got the Chip Kelly in him, right? Because he loves the edge runs, so he's big on his wide receivers blocking. I think that's like his number one point he tells the scouts. Like, hey, coach, he can really stretch the vertical. Like, no, I don't care. How does he wear his hands and feet on runs? It's like, Kyle, there was just some stubbornness right now to Kyle. He told us. It's why I'm not going to get worked up, though, over the Trey Lance thing. He literally said it. Kind of more big picture, but like it clearly reflects his short-term thinking, too. Right? Like, I don't even have time to waste on this fucking kid right now. Which to me seems a little crazy.
Yeah, then he's thinking about it wrong. He's thinking about him like, how can I incorporate him as a quarterback as opposed to how can I use this piece?
He's stubborn, man.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't expect 2.8 yards per carry in this game. But the Kittle play worked. See, I thought he actually hit a lot of good plays in the game.
I'm not
Shanahan.
arguing that he. No, I'm not saying that he. Again, I want him as my play caller.
I understand. But my point, when I say that, my point is even with the play that we all hate equally, I thought he had a good play calling game for the most part. I didn't think that was their problem. Their problem is.
But I'm saying, like, you can have a great play, or I mean, great calls all game long, even on the final stretch, get that use check play, getting Kittle down the sideline. You can do great things. There are certain plays in a fourth quarter of a tie game or down 7, right? That are just, I know coaches will tell you not one play defines the game because if we block the right play on the second quarter, on the third down play, right? I mean, we could play that, but it does just mean more in the fourth quarter when you're down 7. Like the game's on the line.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No doubt.
It does feel sometimes like, I don't want to say he's herky-jerky, but like I've only really seen him 1 year with a good team, so it's hard to know. We're talking like I don't know. Like, is he going to go for 2? Is he not going to go for 2? Is Kyle like? Is he going for fourth down because? Is he going for that fourth down because he doesn't feel his defense can get a stop, or is it just like kind of knee-jerk reaction?
I thought it was because they had to get a first down because they had to keep the football.
Because they didn't. The defense was kind of getting shredded at the time.
Not even so much. It's just like we've got the ball right now. We're down. We have to go score a touchdown. We just.
But they weren't even to the. I mean, it was a pretty.
It was a midfield
where they were in the game. Not even. Yeah. I think it was like 40, right?
Yeah, but that's what it felt like to me. That it was more about his offense. Just we've got the ball. We should be able to pick up a yard. quarterback gun run, not my idea of a good play. I don't think it's anybody. I know it's not anybody's.
And again, he's never had a season like this, right? Last year was scrapped early on. His Super Bowl season, he had such a lead on everything. Even though that final game he had to win the division. But like as the season went on, like he's been behind the 8 ball now, and he's trying to climb and kind of getting a feel for, just his coaching, what he likes to do, what he, some of what his tendencies are to go for it, to not go for it, right? Like I still don't have a great feel all the time, like what Kyle's going to do, which is fine. He's a younger coach, but and again, it goes back to like what you say, and we'll get into Jimmy. Like it is difficult when your play calling is kind of hamstrung, because everyone's like on Twitter, once Jimmy throws the second pick, like I can't wait to watch Kyle light into him. Like no, that's no one wants, because if you light into him, that means he's a fucking disaster on everyone's hands. So that's.
What do you mean?
Because people get excited when Jimmy throws a pick for Kyle to like scream at him.
Now
like,
you're saying like people think like
for,
now Kyle's going to say to him the things that I need to say to him myself.
Yeah, but it's like that's a problem.
Yeah, he's got to use those judiciously. You can't be screaming at him on the sideline of every game.